Lily is very unique. She's 7.5 and she's in kindergarten. She has a rare genetic disorder called Prader-Willi syndrome. So we navigate life through that. Prader-Willi syndrome causes her to have low muscle tone. Her entire body is weak. She has scoliosis. She also has global delays. So her speech is delayed. Her communication ability is delayed. Cognitively, she's delayed. Lily also falls on the autism spectrum, so social interaction doesn't come as easy. She's a happy girl and she makes friends, but there's a little quirkiness in there.
But
That is just a silly thing to do.
oh my gosh, he is such a silly horse.
I went to a conference for Prader-Willi syndrome and they suggested to help build muscle tone and to help delay the curve in her spine to get her on a horse. That would work out both sides of her spine. So she was 2 when we actually started approaching pals and begging them to let us come. And they kept saying she has to be 3. So finally when she was 3, we were able to get started just having her on the horse, feeling the motion. And it started out slower and then progressively built up to the 30-minute sessions that she does now. We've stuck with it and she loves it. It's been great.
Oh, Lily. Lily is one of my clients. I've been teaching her for about a year now. She's been riding longer than that, but I've had the blessing of having her for about a year. She comes in, she's always so excited to come and meet her horse and ride her horse each and every week.
Lily absolutely loves pals. She gets so excited every time I pick her up from school to bring her here. I'll say, hey Lily, we're gonna go ride our horse today. We're gonna go ride Spirit or Lola. And she's like, yay! And she'll jump up and down and she just gets so excited. And then sometimes she'll want to dance a little bit.
She loves it when her horses are just so silly and they do something really silly. Her favorite horse is Lola. She has a great relationship with Lola. Lola is injured right now, has been injured since October and is just starting to come back into work. But in the meantime, she's riding some of Lola's friends. And last fall, she rode a horse named Babe, who one day I put a little stuffed animal right in between Babe's ears, and Babe just stood nice and still. And we just laughed about it throughout the entire lesson. She thought it was so silly that Babe brought her an animal that she could carry around with her during the lesson and play a game with. And so we'll engage in some kind of game or activity with those toys that her horse brings to her, because that's what her horse wants to play with that day. You know how horses eat some hay? She was saving it in her hair.
Any kind of animal therapy is going to give you some different benefits, and Lily absolutely loves animals just in and of herself. She's always talking about wanting to be a vet. Doc McStuffins is her favorite. So to come to PALS is just really an opportunity for her to engage in that love of animals. Some of the work that I do with her, this is where I see her being most happy a lot of times.
She's in speech therapy, OT, PT, autism therapy, and then finally, PALS with hippotherapy. For us, it gave us something different. So we tried all the other therapies, and those were helpful for Lily, but we wanted something that really gave her that confidence, let her go out and do other activities where she took what she learned from PALS and she could take it into the next step at school or wherever she's at and use those skills.
She goes to get x-rays on her back about every 3 to 4 months to see how her scoliosis is progressing. And we saw this trend where every fall she had a great x-ray and it showed improvement in the curve in her spine. And then we would go back in the winter and spring and we'd get bad news that it was curving worse. And finally we put together that the only thing that was changing was not being on a horse. So just seeing how that has helped, and I believe it helps with her core strength, and that helps straighten her spine. Mm-hmm. It helps develop the muscles on each side of her back. We've gotten to the point where now we're not taking off the hot months or the really cold months. We've just committed to doing it year round to help her spine. In the beginning, when she was younger, we noticed a lot more chatter coming out of her after the writing session, and that was when she didn't speak. She didn't really speak until she was 5, but when she started writing at 3, she would be more vocal after her rides. And we noticed that. Yeah, one of her first words was, whoa, and walk on. She learned to say walk on and whoa.
Walk on.
Awesome. Sit up nice and tall. Good job.
So one thing about being a special needs parent that no one tells you about and you wouldn't know is that it's expensive to have children with special needs. There's a lot of things that are not covered by insurance.
At PALS Here, we are a nonprofit. This is something that we could not provide without the community's help and without funding from, friends and family and our community.
Parents aren't charged the full amount that it takes to provide the lessons.
I've heard from so many family members, they just tell us how much horseback riding has changed their family dynamics at home for the better and has changed their, their sibling or their child or, their ward's life in some way. And it's become a very important part of their life, and they look forward to coming to PALS each week. We just could not do this without the funding from our community.
He ate them today. He's hungry. Holy moly.
Holy moly!
It's nice that events like this can help cover the cost of those lessons and help cover the cost of the feed and help cover the buildings and the staff that are paid outside the volunteers. It's a nice way to give back to the community. It's important for people who need PALS, they need the experience and just to not have to stress about one more thing.
Oh my goodness, Lily.
We also worked with one of the therapists out here while she was riding when she was 4, and she still wasn't speaking. And so they would try to get her to use her words as she played in the games out in the arena with the horse, and she was still fairly quiet. And
Lily has been in and out of a lot of therapies. It's gotten to the point where we have to pick and choose what we're going to spend our time doing. She really benefits from PT and OT and speech therapy and horseback riding and swimming, and she benefits from all of those. But when we're trying to plan our time and her time being active, we have to decide what is she going to do and truly enjoy? What is not going to feel like therapy? Because we don't want her to grow up and that's all she did in her childhood. It was just therapy. And that's what that's what it feels like as a parent with a child with special needs. It feels like you're just going from therapy to therapy or from school to therapy. And PALS has been that one thing that she thinks she's playing. It's not really work. She knows she's learning something and she's gaining skills, but she doesn't associate it with therapy. She just associates it with having a good time and learning how to do something new with a horse.
I feel like she loved the interaction with the horse. She loved to get out there and find something that she could have confidence in versus, you know, a lot of these other kids, they're going to go out and do soccer and do some of these other baseball activities type like that, where they can develop a confidence. But for her, with her delay, she was didn't necessarily have those opportunities, but Pals gave her that opportunity, and she gets out there and you see the smile on her face and you start to see her find confidence in other things, because we can say, hey Lily, remember when you were riding the horse and at first you were scared but you got out there and you did it? Now why don't you go ahead and try this? And so we can transition that into other things and see an improvement in her.
Lily loves to trot. She's very excited about going fast and trotting on the horse, which is interesting because she does not like to go fast on anything else. So I think she likes to feel in control of the horse's movement and knowing that she's safe. She loves to trot.
Yeah, she won't even let us roll our window down in the car.
It's too fast. Yeah. So Lily's favorite horse is Lola. She has developed a bond with Lola, and she's been very patiently waiting for Lola to heal so that they can ride together again. She's developed a pretty good bond with all of the horses that she's rode. She rode on Velos for a while, and he was retired, and it took her a while to accept that he was going off to bigger pastures. But Lola helped her get over that. So she loves Lola, and she brings her treats, and she makes her get well cards, and yeah, it's a nice relationship that they've developed. But the most common known symptom of Prader-Willi syndrome is an insatiable appetite where they just don't ever feel full. It affects every aspect of their life. If you think about when you're hungry, how you feel emotionally, you're irritable, you're cranky, all you can think about is what are you going to have for lunch or dinner. And so kids with Prader-Willi syndrome are typically just living in a constant state of being hangry. So they have that going against them. And